So these days, anybody can be an influencer, or anybody can have a viral video, but not everybody can make money off social media. I'm Heather Pink, and I am the moderator for this panel. I'm the CEO of Pink Deer, a social media consulting and creative agency. I got my start in social media at the NFL many moons ago, being one of the first people on the social team, to now owning and running Pink Deer, where my company has clients like influencers, like some of these amazing people. We also work with Operation Hope's very own John Hope Bryant, Morris Chestnut, brands, podcasts like Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay, as well as our newly launched podcast, 154, and TV shows like American Ninja Warrior and more. I wanted to preface this because I talked with Kevin Boucher about doing this panel. We had talked about doing something in social media, and I said, there's no better time to do a panel about making money on social than right now, because it feels like everybody can be making money. But not everybody knows how to do it the way that I know that these guys have been doing it. So I see hardworking people all the time quit their full-time jobs, maybe a little bit too early, I say, and some of them want to be influencers full-time, but not a lot of people can sustain doing that full-time. So with that, I'd love to introduce my influencers on this panel for future-proofing content creation. So Tiffany, Budgetnista Aliche, is America's favorite personal finance educator, author of New York Times bestseller, Get Good with Money. Woo! Through her GGWM movement, she's helped over 2 million women save, manage, and pay off hundreds of millions of dollars. A former teacher of 10 years with a master's degree in education, Tiffany was instrumental in getting the Budgetnista law, A1414, passed in January of 2019, making financial education mandatory for middle school students in New Jersey. Right? That's awesome. The Budgetnista is an NAACP nominee and the first Black woman to grace the cover of Money magazine solo. Woo! She's also the co-host of Webby award-winning podcast and has been featured on Good Morning America, The Today Show, PBS, Time, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and more. Ladies and gentlemen, Tiffany. Next, we have Adam Ali. He's a seasoned digital creator, entrepreneur, and author whose work explores the intersection of family lifestyle and personal growth. Beginning his journey in 2011, Adam developed the Everyday Hustle brand, a platform rooted in transparency, discipline, and entrepreneurship, and has since grown a loyal global audience. As a father of 3, Adam brings a grounded, authentic voice to his content, sharing reflections of parenthood, relatability, and self-improvement. His storytelling has opened doors to partnerships with some of the world's most recognized brands and companies like McDonald's, Walmart, and other major consumer brands. Woo! Beyond digital content, Adam is also a published children's book author and an advocate for personal development, using his work to inspire both young readers and adults navigating their own journeys. Today, he continues to build community through consistency, creativity, and a commitment to showcasing what real hustle and real life look like. Adam. And last but not least, we have Dayna Bolden, who's a seasoned entrepreneur, lifestyle and wellness content creator, and a speaker for over a decade in experience of digital marketing industry. She has partnered with leading brands such as Dick's Sporting Goods, Nike, Ford, VH1, and VH1, creating impactful campaigns that engage and inspire. With a community of over 350,000 followers across platforms, Dayna is dedicated to empowering women to embrace bold living through health, fitness, and personal growth. As a mom of 2, she shares her journey of balancing motherhood, entrepreneurship, and wellness, encouraging women to prioritize their health while pursuing their goals. Beyond her influence online, Dayna is a girls basketball coach with Overtime Select, where she pours her passion for sports into mentoring young athletes. She also brings forward-thinking expertise into growing NIL, the NIL space, helping families, athletes navigate opportunities in today's evolving sports landscape. Dayna's mission is to inspire women and the next generation of athletes to live boldly, move with intention, and rise with purpose. Dayna, everybody. Woo! That was the most I'll talk, I promise. All right, so some of you guys, only because I've known, some of you guys don't know in the audience how long it takes for actually some influencers to become influencers, or how long they've been on their grind. So I'm gonna ask you guys individually, what year did you start creating content? Or what year did you start creating it seriously?
2009.
2011.
2011.
2010.
See that? That's a long time, right? So the next question to you guys is, which platforms have impacted you the most, and how did you adapt to it?
So when I started on Facebook. This is just when Facebook went from like, Facebook was for college students. Because I remember my sister being like, oh, I'm on this thing called Facebook. I'm like, I don't care, because I was out of college already. I was like, it's not for grown people. And then it became for grown people. There was no Facebook business, there was no Instagram, there was no Twitter. And so when I was starting my business, I said, what would happen if I changed my name on Facebook from Tiffany Aliche to Tiffany the Budgetnista Aliche, and I started using my personal Facebook page to market. This is before anybody was marketing. There was no such thing as social media. You're just on Facebook to like talk to your grandma. And so that was the most impactful, hands down.
Yep. What about either of you guys?
For me, when I started, it was YouTube. I was a personal trainer in a local gym, and I was just looking to get more clients, get out of the box of the gym, and just reach a mass. So YouTube seemed like a viable platform, and I birthed my first brand called I Won't Lose. And now that I look back at it, you know, being a personal trainer and with a brand called I Won't Lose, you know, growing pains. Yeah. And but yeah, I took it serious from the moment I had the courage to pick up a camera, and which was very different at that time. You know, I remember pulling out a camera one time, and an old lady was just looking at me, and she was like, "You don't have shame?" But 15 years later, it's such a norm. You'll see people dancing in the middle of a grocery store now.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Dayna, I'm gonna ask this to you. Has TikTok impacted you or your platforms or your content creation process?
Absolutely. I think TikTok is huge, but my main thing has been Instagram, and that's where I started. That's where I built my loyal community. So I'm really comfortable with Instagram, but TikTok, obviously I have a platform there, and I have community there as well.
And when you started your TikTok, did you have to shift how you were thinking Instagram versus TikTok?
Yes, because it's two completely different platforms. I think the audience are different, how you speak to them is completely different. So I definitely had to shift my mindset to figure out, okay, what is this new platform? How can I leverage it? How can I build community there? Because it's completely different.
The next question I have is for Tiffany, for you. What inspired you to originally start creating content?
Well, I started because I had something to say. I'm a middle child, so I'm a yapper. It happens. I'm one of 5 girls. And honestly, truthfully, I didn't have any money. I had taught preschool for 10 years. The recession happened. I worked for a nonprofit school. They lost their funding, and so I lost my job. And I remember thinking, like, okay, I grew up learning about money at home. My father was a CFO and an accountant. And so I was teaching my friends how to manage their money, and they were like, this is really good, you should start a business. I was like, okay, how? Because I didn't have, like, how do you market, you know? And I thought if I could get people to just know I'm doing it. So one of the things I would do on Facebook is, one, I would do a post a day, like a tip a day, that nobody paid attention to for a year, but then eventually. And what I would do is, all of my friends, I would look through their friends list. You can't do this now, but I would look through their friends list, and if any of their friends had like a professional outfit or suit on, I would assume they must work for a company that maybe they had some money to hire me. So I would friend their friends. To this day, I have friends who are like, how did I meet you? I'm like, you didn't. Literally, that was my homework for myself every day, that I would send out like 100 friend requests. Because I thought if I could post myself doing the thing, somebody would see me and hire me, and that's exactly what happened. Is that like I would post myself like, hey, even though I was volunteering, speaking at such and such church, teaching this thing, and then a friend of a friend of a friend would be like, oh, can you come to my church? And I would say, yes. And so that was the first way that I started to market myself. That's why I started posting.
I love that. Dayna, this one's for you. How long did it take before you felt financially stable or confident about doing content creation more full time?
I would say it took a few years because honestly, it didn't start as something I thought I could make money from. And that's what I think is the difference between now and then back then. It was just something I did because I was passionate. I wanted to share content, I wanted to inspire, and I never in a million years thought I could make money. I remember getting my first brand opportunity and I'm like, oh my God, somebody want to pay me? Like, this is crazy. And once I got to a point where it was consistent, I'm like, okay, another brand reached out and another brand reached out. It got to a point where my full-time job was getting in the way of my side hustle. And I had to come to terms with like, okay, I need more time for this thing. So I quit that job, but I didn't quit the job until I knew I was consistently bringing in the income. I didn't just jump out there and say, I'm gonna quit my job. I don't know if I'm gonna get anything next. I knew by just what I was doing consistently that brands were coming, money was coming, I saved, and that's when I took the leap. So it took about, I would say, a year fully of really committing to it that I decided to quit.
Like a year of seeing the return on it and then being like, all right, now's not the right time, even though I'm making money on it. I'm still gonna wait a little bit longer. I love that. Adam, we were just talking on backstage, per se, that he was working on something with, what was it, Kids Foot Locker? You've had the chance to work with big brands like Disney, Walmart, McDonald's, like there's a long list. How is this possible? Just for everybody else. But two, you know, I understand that smaller influencers are also becoming bigger for companies as well too. How can somebody else, or even someone in the audience, get to work with a McDonald's or a Walmart now?
You know, when we think about brands, we get wrapped around the names, but behind those brands are people like us, decision makers, and the decision makers are trying to find the creators who can meet their, you know, their vision, their mission, and I think that's what I focus on, is just speaking to them in a way where they can we can align. But in regards to smaller creators, you know, what I will say is just because you're not quote unquote big doesn't mean you're not valuable. And there's a whole new market for smaller creators, and that's called, I think they're called micro-influencers, which is a big marketing aspect of brands now. So just focus on being value-driven and being respectful when you're dealing with these decision makers in regards to meeting their timelines, always improving your quality of the content. So it's very much possible because there is a whole new space for you for smaller creators now.
Yeah, just when you, let's say you work with McDonald's or, you know, for their holiday campaign or something along those lines, do you feel like I have to crush this one because I feel like they're gonna like this enough and then I'm gonna get the next chance, like the next campaign? Or do you feel like a lot of the brands you've worked with are kind of been one campaign, one and done sort of deals?
For me, I just try to position myself to look workable. So I create the best content that I can for the brand, and when other brands are prospecting and they see, hey, he's working with Disney or Walmart, he's workable. And I think just them seeing the social proof that's there allows me to continue to get more work. Of course, I want to continue to work with the same brand continuously, but it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I have an influencer who used to do stuff with his kids, grow up. Then they were like, Dad, no, I'm done. Or I know when they come around, I know what we're doing. Are you finding it hard to get your kids more involved?
So my daughter is a kidfluencer, and you know, I was excited that we got this Play-Doh deal. She's 11 years old now, and I'm trying to let her know, like, this would be a dream brand deal for many kids, and she's kind of like over it, but at the same time, I'm just trying to sell it to her, like, hey, you're gonna look back at this moment and like, look, this is really cool. So yeah, keep in mind, she's been a kidfluencer since she was 2 years old. So it's just kind of reminding her, and sometime I'll jump into the videos. We recently found a neighbor who loves getting on in the videos as well. So it's just finding that space that feels authentic.
Tiffany, what's something people don't realize about the business side of being a creator?
That you don't actually have to make money with brands to make money. So the majority of my money does not come from brands. Like, I've grown my business to 8 figures. I think in total, since I started my business, we're just under $60 million. And remember, I used to teach preschool, you know, and the majority of that money is my product and service. Because when I first started, there was no such thing as a brand deal, you know, and so I created online courses, I self-published books, and so as I built my trust in my community with my audience, I thought instead of handing my trust over to this brand so they could pay me $2, I can make 20. And so even now, I like here, if I'm being candid, like, this is like the Super Bowl for me because, you know, John Hope Bryant, his, you know, financial education is a cornerstone for his brand. So there's all of these financial brands here. I can't walk the hallways, right? I'm talking about Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America. They're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Cute, but I know that they're like, I see you've like created this huge influence. Can you pass it on over to me? And sometimes yes, but mostly no, because I'd rather keep it for myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I always say that, because what happens when I'm not the cutest girl in the club anymore? You move on to the next girl, and I'm like, wait, you know, but if I keep most of my influence for myself, whether they choose me or not, my audience chooses me. You know, and so that's why. So the majority of my money comes from my online tools and products and services, and then yes, I do some speaking engagements, and I do get. I mean, I've gotten upwards of 7-figure brand deals, but I try not to make that the cornerstone for all that I do, because also I like to talk my talk. Right? So I like to be like, no, this is what you need to do, sis. Don't pick up that credit card, because the bank might be like, we need you to sell a credit card. I'm like, no, but I don't have to do that, because I'm like, that's not what's best for you. Yeah. And so like I intentionally built a brand that I can do that. I can be in service to my community, and I don't have to compromise my integrity. And that's the very reason why the brands are like, we want to work with you.
Have you had to say no to a brand?
Oh, all the time, every day. There's not a bank that has, every bank in here has asked me to work with them. And sometimes I say no. I mean, here's the thing, no bank is perfect. They love when I say this. I'm like, you know you guys are a mess. They're like, Tiffany, you're so crazy. I'm like, but you are a mess. That's why you came to get me, because you've been messy in these streets, and now you want me to use my good name to clean you up. Right? Before I consider what's the tool, what's the product. If it's actually good, I'll share it. If it's not, I won't. I think people think that like you have to like give your whole self away, and I'm like, no. And that's why I intentionally created a business where I can say no to big money, because it's not right for my community. The large component of my community is Black women. So what do I look like doing something to you that I don't want for I have 4 sisters, that I would not want for my own 4 sisters? You know, and so like I'm very mindful of that. That's why I don't say yes to a lot of brands, but that's why they come back with bigger and bigger bags. And I'm like, well, yes, more money is great, but better products are better. And so I only say yes when it's aligned, and that's why I get, like I don't have to do a ton, because honestly, I don't really like social media. It used to be so fun, but now the girls are so toxic on there. Yeah. Not the girls, but meaning everyone. And so I don't like to do a ton, and so I really like to own my audience. That's another thing I think people don't realize is that, so I own my audience via email, text messages, community, because when Mark Zuckerberg, I know that's not his name, but when he decides that the algorithm is going to algorithm different, what you going to do, sis, when the TikTok hit, right? But not me, because I can send an email, right? Some of y'all are on my text list right now, right? So I can connect with you directly, even if my social media is down. That's another thing to consider, that people will be surprised that to me, it's just an entry point to bring you into my world and then transfer you here so I can continue talking to you no matter what social media platform is popular or not.
I love that. That's awesome. Woo! Dayna, what's at least one way you've been able to scale your earnings from your content creation business? So right from, you went from the start, how did you go from, all right, I quit my full time, to now being able to scale?
I think a lot of that, just what Tiffany's saying, is creating your own. I think a lot of times people get into this industry thinking about the money, but I feel like you have to think about your why within it and your community first. And the reason I've been successful is because I've been community driven. How can I build community and women that trust me and will understand the brands that I work with and that they're legit because I say they're legit? So I've been able to scale by being honest, being authentic, being myself, and then creating my own. I've also created a fitness apparel brand, so I have my own as well.
Ooh. And
I think just being able to pour back into my community has allowed me to grow.
That's awesome. I'm going to start this question, Adam. If you guys want to jump in, feel free. If you had to start from scratch tomorrow, what's a few things that you'd try to do to make money on your social media as fast as possible, if that's the route that you'd want to go?
I think I'm living testament of restarting. I've reinvented myself numerous times. Just like when I talked about the I Won't Lose brand, I had to, phase that out, and that's came the birth of Everyday Hustle. But bottom line, if I were going to start again, I would find something that I'm passionate about. Sounds cliche. So for example, like music, I love music. People are usually giving me the aux wire to play the music. So I would probably be a DJ and just go online every Friday and just jam out every Friday and Saturday for like 3 months straight. I would create like an Amazon storefront with all the products that I'm using to play out, hopefully get booked. Just really ride the wave of the TikTok live streams, and just connect. Just connect, Amazon storefront, and eventually to get gigs. So if you ever see a flyer that says, I don't know, DJ Won't Lose.
DJ Won't Lose.
You heard it here first.
I'm going to call you that from now on.
DJ Won't Lose.
Do either of you guys want to jump in on that?
I love that. I feel like I am starting over. I feel like I reinvent myself and I start over every few years. When I started in hair, then I went into fashion. I'm always adding new layers to myself because, I love multiple things, and I feel like you don't have to niche down to find success. So even now, I'm talking more about sports because I found that I played basketball back in college, but I reignited that passion when my daughter said she wanted to play, and I started coaching her. And I wanted to find something that really fueled me because I've been in the industry so long, and I felt honestly burnt out and overwhelmed and tired. And I'm just like, I want to do something else. So I started coaching, and I found so much love and passion for that. So honestly, like I said, just finding something you love first. So I would start there and just build from there. I think so many times we are so worried about money, which is hard because we need money to live, but I wouldn't focus on the money right now. I would just start with something and just continue to pour into it and grow, and you will blow your mind with what can come from that. So build community, build trust, and then honestly, you can literally sell anything to an engaged community that trusts you.
Let me ask this as a follow-up. Let's say when you were transitioning more to, let's just say, basketball content, was there ever a time where you're like, man, this is not hidden? Did you ever feel like you had a couple or you were like, man, nothing that I'm posting of my new niche is working? Did you ever feel like that?
Oh yeah, I feel like that even with my old stuff. So I think because, the audience has changed, but I think you have to continue to lean within that because you're gonna find your people eventually.
Okay. I'm gonna ask this to all of you guys. How are each of you trying to build your brand right now that stands the test for tomorrow? Because Lord only knows what's gonna happen. They're gonna get a new TikTok, or like you said, I think that you kind of answered it a little bit with trying to take the community, making sure that they have your email and your phone, but what is it from your brand that you're trying to do to make sure it's sort of future-proofs for tomorrow?
I think finding I learned this is a great brand that I love so much. It's called Girl Trek. And so Girl Trek, the purpose of Girl Trek is to get Black women out walking. It's a nonprofit, it's great. Anybody here a Girl Trekker? Exactly, wow. Look what Girl Trek. Literally, so Girl Trek, they wear these electric blue shirts, and you can go to a park on any Saturday, and I'm like, look at this Girl Trekker, right? And so they're like my dream community brand. And I know Morgan and Vanessa, they're amazing founders and CEOs. So the thing that they've done really well, that what I see that a lot of newer influencers and things don't know how to do, including big businesses, why they come to get us, they don't know how to build community. Community is not the people who are watching your social media. Because we've seen people who have 1 million followers and they can't make one sale. That's not community. Those are just observers, voyeurs, if you want, you know? Meaning, can you move people to market, essentially? And so if I was starting, or like if this is, what I think about is like, how do I create community? Because people come for you, but they stay for each other. And like I said, Girl Trek is really good at that. And I call my community dream catchers. So we have online, but also in person. People want to connect. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so like, I would just be considering things like that. Like, how do I create space for people to meet in person and connect? Maybe I come out one time, but then they continue to connect together when I'm no longer there. And you have to understand too, like that you're solving for, if I'm gonna be here for a long time, I can't solve for what looks like the overlying problem. So I had asked Vanessa and Morgan, what are you solving for? I thought maybe they were solving for health in Black women. She's like, oh, no, we're solving for loneliness. And I was like, what? She's like, because if you have a walking group and you don't show up 2 Saturdays in a row, they're like, girl, where you at? And I thought, oh. So she's like, Tiffany, you think you're solving for financial education? No. And I thought about it. She was like, you know what? I'm solving for hopelessness. You know, people come to me. How many women have come to me since I've been here and we cried in the lobby and they're like, thank you so much. There's a woman, a Muslimina, beautiful woman here. We damn near cried early today. Like when she was here, she's like, I was a single mother. Thank you so much. There's a hopelessness that was there that I got to solve for. That's how you're here for the long term. Can you solve for the deeper human experience? And then you can share whatever that might look like. It might be hair. It might be, if walking can solve for loneliness, you can be a hairdresser and solve for self-esteem. You know, you can be a mechanic and solve for autonomy. You know what I mean? Like, what is that deeper human thing? And if you do that, you will be here for a very, very, very long time.
I love that.
I just want to piggyback on that. I think it's important, you know, as much as it's cliche to follow your passion, it is important to follow your passion or a hobby that you find value in, because if you're just looking at trending things to jump on, you might do good, but you will end up in a place that's not authentic. So it's in your best interest to jump onto something that is just very natural. But back to your question, for me to be future-proof, it's about being diverse. So with me, I create content. I think YouTube is going to continuously be there. It's been the most strongest platform, and they have figured it out from a monetization platform. Instagram is still not there. They'll throw their little bonuses here and there, but it's nothing real, I would say. Brands, you know, they're looking at the economy too, but YouTube has been very viable in the entire long run. And community. So I did something that recently, which was launch a course. I thought it was important that a creator is talking about social influence, you know. So it's a program by a creator for creators. So that diversification is very key. Another thing that I did was create a brand. So my biggest part of my brand is my beard oil company. It's bigger than my brand deals. So just diversity is key, and I think it's important for future-proofing as a creator.
And his beard is glistening.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
Go ahead. I mean, I was like, yes.
That makes sense. It's glistening.
I need to give it to some of mine.
Yeah, get it on Amazon or Walmart.
There it is.
Search Everyday Hustle.
There it is. Dayna, what about you? Is there anything that you're trying to build in your brand today that kind of tests for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think, you know, the same thing, solving a problem. I feel like if you solve a problem, you will always stay relevant and can make money in that way. So for me, it's just, now that I know, like, I'm really passionate about athletes and helping, you know, collegiate, high school, middle school, just leaning into that, helping young girls, whether they're training or their NIL deals. That's a huge thing right now with athletes. So I'm really leaning into that and just leveraging how I can help support them in that way.
So before we started this, I didn't realize that Dayna and Tiffany knew each other, which was wild because me and my team put this together. Y'all need to get together and figure out the NIL for, you know, women's basketball and, you know, helping them get more money. But one of the hot topics of HGF has been AI. And I feel like AI has really infiltrated the social media space and content specifically, figuring out what stuff is from Sora, what stuff is from ChatGPT. Do you guys see it as a threat, or do you guys use it to your advantage, or both?
Well, whether it's a threat or not, it's here.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know, it's like, you want to be Blockbuster, or
It's
you want to
here.
be Netflix.
It's here. No matter, it's not like we can get rid of it. We ain't going backward.
Yes. And so, no, I think it's a tool that can be used. So we, like for my team, because honestly, I'm winding down. You know, I'm in a place now where if I don't want to work anymore, I don't have to work anymore. I've made enough money in business. I keep my business largely open for y'all. And also, too, I have a team of amazing women that get paid really well. You know, and so it's like this gift for them and the gift for the people that we serve.
Yep.
You know, and so, you know, I think that, so one of the things I told them, I was like, how do we recreate me? And so we created like some AI that has my voice. We created some AI too, where you can come to our site and there'll be like a chat box that it'll answer your financial questions the way I would. You know, I'm not afraid of like uploading the book to it.
Yep.
You know, because you have a question. And so you might DM me, but now you can get like, what would I actually say as the Budgetnista? Because we've uploaded all my videos and things.
That's amazing.
And so using it in that way, but also too, it closes the gap. You know, like you can literally say, hey, ChatGPT, here are all my bills. You know, and what should I pay first, second, and third? Instead of having to figure it out yourself. You know, but then you still need community. So, you know, we're not obsolete. That you could take that to the community and say, you know, is anybody who can help me or hold me accountable and be my accountability partner? So we're using it as a tool, but we also get to get in front of it and say, here's how best to use it. So you still need us to guide you.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
That's super cool. What about you guys and AI?
For me, I'm still getting accustomed to AI. I leverage it in my emails interaction, just like making it more compelling to close a deal.
Listen, so does my business partner. Every time I was like, hey, what do you think of this? He's like, run it through ChatGPT. I'm like, I want your opinion.
Right.
But I get you. No, I get you.
Yeah, so it has supported me around closing deals, but in regards to just content itself, I've not explored it yet, but totally open to it. I see the advantage and how it could be beneficial to creators.
Yeah. Dayna, what
Yeah, I think it's here to stay. So it's just about how we can use it to our advantage. But at the end of the day, ChatGPT, AI, they can't replace who you are and what we're able to do and show up in person and who we are. I feel like people follow us because of who we are, and they'll follow you because of who you are. So I think as you continue to share authentically, share your story, ChatGPT can't steal who you are in your story. And I think, you know, we're here.
I had a meeting with Meta recently, and they were trying to sell me the idea of having like a mascot or an avatar for my business. And I said, I just can't get a random black man talking about things. I need to show up. And so I got to be authentic, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm still totally open to figure out how I can integrate AI in a way that is supports the mission.
I love that. This is my last question before I open up to the floor. Tiffany, I'm going to start with you. I'm sorry, Dayna, because you went last. Which revenue streams do you believe that every creator or a new creator should develop to stay future-proof?
You said,
Yeah, sorry.
I'm like,
I started with Dayna. I know, sorry. Dayna, why don't you start first?
you said which revenue streams?
Yeah, what revenue streams do you believe that every creator or new creators should develop to sort of stay future-proof?
I think one, having your own product, whether it's something digital or something that you can sell to control yourself. I think also leveraging affiliates, because you can also, make money off of that. So if you're like, oh, I love this pink blazer, here's the link, girl, you're always making money off of that. So I think having that as well are two of the main things. And then brand opportunities, that's always there, but it's not for certain all the time.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely something that you can control yourself.
Because there's a lot of brands that, that will just be able to be opted into those affiliate programs like Amazon. Like you don't really need a ton of followers or things like that to be a part of, and Amazon's huge,
Yeah.
right? What about you guys?
For me, it'll be YouTube.
YouTube?
It has, met the test for me. 15, almost 20 years of being on, that platform in existence. So I think controlling your narrative. Video is, very prominent now, and YouTube is here. When TikTok had its little shakedown last year, people were crying making videos because they quit their jobs. YouTube has never. YouTube is here. They continue to move the needle, and I would suggest getting on YouTube. And I keep finding myself getting back to YouTube, even when I want to be more on Instagram or explore TikTok, Snapchat. Eventually I end up coming back to YouTube. I've come back to YouTube numerous times.
Is there a reason why? Like, I find myself on Instagram more than I want to. And I'm like, oh, dang, but.
Storytelling in long formats, it has continuously been something that resonates with my audience. So that's the best platform for you.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, right before we go to you, is that like, my company does 2 long form, if not 3 long form podcasts. Like, long form is not going away, just because TV is changing, and people will sit down, myself included, and watch hours of Netflix in a row. And I say that because we have some video podcast shows that they make a ton of money, or they make their money on YouTube, and they're long form. You sit down and you watch Cat Williams for 2 hours and 45 minutes, right? And I want to say that too, is because
You said you managed the Shade.
Yeah, we did that episode.
And I can't even imagine that Cat Williams interview, how it did.
Yeah, when we taped it, I was doing the admin stuff. My business partner called me and said, this was right after Thanksgiving. He said, this is about to break the internet. And I said, okay, well, whatever.
I've seen debates on how much money that people are thinking of how much it made.
In a world where everything is 7-second videos or TikTok, like, there's still this such a large appetite for long form content. And I'd say the pros that know how to vlog or do this and do that, like, they know how to keep you captivated. They know that storytelling for long form. So just because everyone is consumed by short form doesn't mean that the long form doesn't still truly have a huge presence in the social media space. All right, what about you?
I would say to stay long term is to monetize your community. So, build community slowly but surely, in person, online, own that access, like I said before, because then from there, so my community will buy my books, my community will sign up for a program that I have, my community will also come. So some people, they have like a new product or service and they have to market from scratch again and again, but I don't have to do that. So when my book came out, it hit the New York Times bestsellers. It's less than 1% of books do that. The majority, thank you. And it stayed on for 8 weeks. And we hit it without cheating, because the girls be cheating. And most books never sell over 2,500 copies in a lifetime. We sold 100,000 the first year. We're up to 400,000 now 4 years later.
Incredible.
But that's because of community. You serve your community tells their best friend and their sister and their cousin. How many of you all have stopped me? There's a woman here today that brought her book with her. She's like, I thought you were going to be here, and I want you to sign my book. And you think she hasn't told her daughter, her sister? I remember I had a personal trainer, Jeremiah. He was like, my mom loves you. I'm like, hush. Because he's like 25. I'm like, am I old? Not your mom. But owning that community space means that whatever product and service that you come up with, you have a built-in market to sell to. And so if you own your community, you will be here as long as your community and you serve them well wants you to be here.
I love that. With that, I'm going to open up the floor to questions.
Good hands. Look at the hands over there. Let's go.
All right,
this
gentleman right here. Speak loud for me, sir.
Hey, my name is Major Smith III. Okay. Actually, Shaniqua wanted me to ask a question for her.
Okay.
And she should be asking it because she wanted to know what are the tips for ripping the Band-Aid off and doing camera content, which I already did. So.
Okay.
But yeah, she asked this question.
Ripping. So what are tips to rip the Band-Aid off of shooting content?
Ripping the Band-Aid?
Yeah, how do you get, it's scary to be on camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, you just can't be afraid of being cringy. If you have to block your family, your friends, or start a completely new page just so you don't feel insecure about posting in front of your family or people that's gonna judge you that really know you, you just have to do it, honestly. Because I remember that feeling when I was sitting in my job 10 plus years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, what are people gonna say about my content? And ultimately, I just said, you know what, I don't care. And now those same people that was like, girl, what's she doing, are the same people like, girl, how are you doing it? So you just have to do it, and don't be scared of anybody's opinions and what anybody thinks, because at the end of the day, they're not paying your bills. So if you can do something that you enjoy and do it in front of the camera, just do it and don't worry about anybody else's opinion.
I love that.
Hi, my name is Aliche. My question is for Tiffany. So I heard you speak recently at Aliche. So I know that you prioritize your partnerships based on your piece at this point.
Yes.
So what decision has had the highest ROI in your business and your piece?
In my business, what?
Say that one more time.
In your piece.
Hiring a COO. Before I used to be the rooter, the tutor, and everything in between. I was in everybody's business. I was paying good people to do their work, but I felt guilty about like, oh, I know she got 2 kids. Like, girl, this is her job. She knows she got 2 kids. Let Logan do her job. And so, sadly, in 2021, my husband passed away suddenly. He had an aneurysm. He was 41, like literally a headache on Monday, gone on Thursday. And everything that I said, that all the overwork or whatever, I couldn't work. I just couldn't even get out of bed. So I was like, I don't even care. Let the Budgetnista fall. Honestly, I said, I don't care. And all the things I told myself, if I didn't show up for every single thing, answer every DM, that's what I told myself. If I didn't do that, the business would crumble. And so for 6 months, I didn't, and it didn't crumble. So when I got back, I said, I'm actually not gonna take all that on again, because I still, I don't wanna say don't care, it's not as important to me. Like what I am really clear, family, friends, because you just don't know. You know, I mean, whether you're 80 or 8, we don't know the day, the time, and I don't want to look at my life and say, wow, you really could have been at your niece's recital. Because the day that my husband called me and said, babe, I got a terrible headache, I'm gonna go to the emergency room. Now, he was like a hypochondriac. I'm like, he could be like, my baby toe hurts. I'm gonna go to the baby toe doctor. So when he told me he had a headache, I was like, okay. I was supposed to be on stage for Chase Bank. They had paid me big money, like 6 figures. The car was downstairs to drive me to New York. And I remember being on the phone being like, do I go? Do I not go? Do I go? And I was like, I called my agent. I was like, girl, my husband's going to the hospital. He has a headache. I'm sure it's nothing, but I can't. And she was like, the people paid you. I said, I know. Just tell them, like, we'll have to reschedule. I mean, reschedule, it's like this. Y'all are here. Imagine I don't show up. That was the last time I saw him alive. Imagine if I would not have gone. So do you think that any of those things mean anything to me now? So for me, it doesn't, like, it's family and friends. I can say that now because I have money, you know? So that's why I teach you how to navigate your money, so you can make those decisions. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna pretend like if I was broke, I can't make those choices. Yep. But that's why I teach from the space that I teach from, because when you have money, you have choices.
Freedom.
And so like, yeah, so that's how I prioritize. I ask myself, I'm here because I said, does it take away from family? Does it know Thanksgiving just ended? I've seen everyone. I can come here because I want to, not because I need to. And so that's been the biggest, is that like, yeah, I choose from the place of like inside out, not outside in like I used to do before.
I love that.
Love that.
Oop. Woo.
All right.
So I'm a marketing analyst, so I specialize in like ROI content. Like I design and operate syndication funnels, and then I enforce strict compliance standards to mitigate risk. And then I also use data analysis to just optimize every campaign for business outcomes. I currently work for the Clorox company, and so I was wondering, what are your what are your primary business outcomes, and how do you measure success for your campaigns?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, so like when you guys are like talking with Clorox, for example, you guys giving impressions, you giving video views, you giving engagement rate?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what you're asking, right? Yeah.
I think we have access to all of those tools, the brand as well. But I think for me, gauging success is how my audience responds to it. Because at the end of the day, my job is to put it in front of the eyes. Now, whether the algorithm, I have no control over. So for me, I love to put out the best quality that I can, do the best that I can, and see how my audience responds to it. That's how I judge success for myself. I mean, we can look at the analytics and say, okay, how many likes, clicks, links, all of the things we all have access to, which I look at. But for me, it's really about how I connect with my audience, how I was able to tell that story, how I was able to bring this campaign to life. Because at the end of the day, it's similar to a magazine, right? Like, brands pay all this money to put an ad in a magazine. They don't know if anybody went to the store and bought it or not. So it's about how they were able to put it in that ad and go about it. And I think for me, it's the same thing, how I was able to bring that story to life.
Amazing.
Yeah, for me, it's just doing what I can control, which
Yeah.
is the quality,
Yeah.
and putting that content out there that the brand feels, you know what, we want to reuse it,
Yeah.
repurpose it,
Put money behind it.
put money
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
it. It's something that they feel proud of, because that's all I can control.
Yes.
You know, the algorithm is just an interesting place now. And I've proven this many times that once it says paid partnership, that content is suppressed. They deny that, but I've seen it many, many times.
And a lot of brands, to your point, they know that. So they put money behind it and they boost it and they put it in front of more eyes. Same thing that they would do like for a TV commercial. So I think, just to your point, continue to create quality content, and that's how we can control the success.
All right, I'm going to do 2 more questions, and then we're going to wrap up.
Hi, Tiffany, you talked in detail about building a community. Can you talk about some of the things that you did to build community? Any tools you might have used as well?
Great
So when you have a community basically is a group of people gathered either to do something similar together, to learn something similar together. So one, you have to figure out, like, essentially, what kind of people do you want in the community, and what are we gathering to do? So if we're doing Pilates, it's like, all right, then I need a Pilates studio, and I know maybe it's women between this age and this age. This is where we're gonna hang out, you know? And so I had to get clear. I'm like, I knew it was a woman, and I named her. Her name was Tanya, right? And she's between the age of, like, right now I would say 35 and 55 is my core audience, right? And then I had to find a place for us to hang out. You know, and so when Facebook groups actually was working, Facebook groups was, I have a Facebook group of like 400,000 before Mark Zuckerberg became a hater, right? And then I took the My Community off, and I used this, like, a platform called Mighty Networks. Because at least, so it's not as effective because because people are not used to going, but it's more effective because, so maybe instead of 400,000, I have like 30 or 50,000 in Mighty Networks. But guess what? When I ping them, all 50,000 get the ping. So it's better than like 200 with a group of 400,000, if that makes sense, you know? And so that's the key, but you have to give them something to do. I've seen people make a community, and it's like, well, what are we here for? Like, think about church, right? You gather, and we're all worshiping. You have to give them something collectively to do, to believe, to connect with each other. Remember, they come for you, but they stay for each other, but they can't stay for each other if you don't get them something to do together.
Just a real quick follow-up to the point about community. Were you like, all right, I know Tanya, I'm gonna serve Tanya every day. Like, were you like, did you have a goal for yourself? If I'm gonna post every single day, I know you said your Facebook tip, but then when Instagram came around, like, was there a different mentality about building community that you had to have? Or like, were you like, I have a goal of X amount of maybe posts per day, or was there anything like that you had?
No, because honestly, I just didn't want to be led by social. It was more so, how many people can I bring away from here to here? You know what I mean? And so for me, my biggest number I wanted it to be, I actually want more emails than I want social media followers. You know what I mean? Because I've sent out an email and in 24 hours made 6 figures. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, so I've not done that. I don't know what YouTube can do, you know, but because I'm not a big YouTuber. But like, so I recognized very early the power of, like, I can send out an email and say, hey, I have a book that came out, or hey, I have a product or a service or whatever, and that email moves versus the algorithm does whatever it wants to do. So yeah, that's the thing. What? Oh, I know you had a.
All right. Well,
I did do everything for free in the beginning, and that was a big way. So I did an annual challenge in January because everybody wants to lose weight, make money. So figure out, like, whatever the thing is that we know that.
I just texted my partner like yesterday.
Yeah, so in January, I was like, that was the #1 builder of my community, the Live Richer Challenge every single January. I did it for like 4 or 5 years in a row. Now we do it like every other year. At one point, we had 200,000 people signed up. And the brands were still like, I don't know if we want to work with you. I was like, fine. We sold our own stuff. And then we made $10 million that year. I was like, sometimes brands are fools.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, you out here spend all this money for foolishness, and I'm like, that's fine. I actually like when a brand says no because it forces me to create it, and then I'm like, oh, look, I get to own it. Thank you for saying no, because then you would have owned it. You know what I mean? And so that's why I don't have to work anymore, because I own my full IP, I own my audience, I can say what I want, I can navigate what I want, and I can tell brands now who all sweat me when I walk down the hallway, I don't think so today, maybe tomorrow.
All right, last question.
Sorry, I want to extend her question.
Oh, yeah.
You said you gave everything for free.
Yeah.
How long did you do that?
I did that for almost a year, over a year.
Over a year.
And even still, a lot of my stuff I give away for free. Because people sign up, because it's not really free. So you sign up, and in exchange, if you don't give me money, you're gonna give me something. You're gonna give me your name and your email.
Or your time to
Well, or your eyes. Because if I get an email list, like my email list, 600,000, now I can go, so a big brand just paid me $100,000 to send, they had like a survey they did about like women who invest. But why do they do that? Because people who are on my email list largely got there, they didn't pay for anything. They signed up for a challenge or a downloadable for free, but really, you paid me in your email. And so as a result, I'm like, hey, big bank or brand, yes, I will send to my email list this like link that you want me to send, 6 figures right there. So sometimes people don't want to do stuff for free, but I do it in exchange. That's why I don't like too much free stuff on social, because what's the exchange? I want to be able to collect your name, your email, and your phone number, ideally, because then I can connect with you again and again and again and again and again. Does that make sense? And so, but free, so people are like adverse to free. I'm like, I built most of my business on free stuff.
I love that. All right, last question.
Great. Hi, thank you for this. This is really good information, and I'm going to do something with it. What is some of the equipment that you use to help you to enhance your videos? Whether it's the lighting, the cameras, the editing. Can you give us some tips?
You want to take it?
Equipment.
Adam should go first.
I know. I was
Hey,
gonna say, I should just go.
I have my cameraman using an iPhone 16 right now.
Yeah.
He mics me up, and I use what I have. I mean, I could use a DSLR camera, but you don't need it. I use my iPhone 16 to shoot 90% of everything, get a good mic. I use Final Cut and CapCut. Yeah. Simple,
Same.
basics.
My team uses CapCut a lot too. It's an amazing free tool, especially if you have TikTok. My team uses Adobe Premiere as well too. We don't use Final Cut, but most of my influencers as well, they just use their iPhone. And I have a small light. I don't know about you guys, but all my influencers, we have to make sure that there's light no matter what.
Yep.
So
I've been doing this for 10 years, and 99% of my content is on my phone. So I think a lot of time people think they need the big fancy camera and all of that. You don't need all that. That's just slowing your progress. Use your phone and go from there.
Amazing. I want to thank you guys so much for coming. This has been amazing. Thank you guys.